Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our show brought to you by Jinx Logos. You see the number right there, 865-755-7767 for those who can't read, 755-7767. That is the number to Jimmy Andrews, who does a spectacular job with promotional items. And when I say spectacular, I mean it. Take a look at this. What we got here, Sports Source shirt. That's a Nike shirt. Nike shirt, under $30. Cutter and Buck with our logo, embroidered, under $30. This travel bag, under $30. Bob Hodge wearing.
Bob is under $30 too.
It's $30 for the shirt. It's less than 30 for the shirt. It's over 30 if you take Bob with it. It's about 35.
I come and hang out at your house.
Yeah, that's our version of the home game. That's the version of the Sports Source home game. Jinx Logos, they do great work. If you're looking to get your brand out there, oh, trust me, Jinx Logos are the folks to call. All right. This is going to be kind of a quick segment because it's kind of a downer. So we'll hurry through these, but we asked for the three stories that were interesting but weren't fun to cover. And you went in a couple of different ways here. One of them is more serious than the others, obviously. But the first one, Jim, is the Lane Kiffin era, which lasted for a year. And you see there his shiny press conference, and then about 12 months later, the departure and the debacle of a last press conference. Jim, your thoughts on the Kiffin era?
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture of the press conference, and I vaguely remember that night. I don't have much recollection of what happened or how that went down. Seemed to be somewhat confusing and complicated, but I know he left. At least I understand he did leave, and or maybe it's just an attempt to erase it from memory completely. I don't know, but it was crazy.
That was a weird one, Bob. We joked about it on our show. There were people saying, "Oh, he could leave for Southern Cal," and we're like, "Yeah, if he's choice number 7." If
it's choice number 7.
Yeah, if 6 people turn it down, and indeed he was choice 7, and they did turn it down.
Yeah, I thought it was odd when they hired him, but I give the Tennessee Athletic Department the benefit of the doubt when they hire a coach because they know more about me. They've interviewed various candidates. I think, okay, I give you the benefit of the doubt on Lane Kiffin, and that to me is the reason that Tennessee football is still a dumpster fire. Now, I think Butch Jones is putting it out, but it doesn't start with getting rid of Coach Fulmer. It starts with hiring Lane Kiffin and the things that ensued because of that.
And part of that was, I think you can attribute to that bad luck phase that Tennessee hopefully is climbing at. Hopefully that upside down horseshoe over their head is being moved out. But that was just bad luck in some way because if Southern Cal doesn't come open, I don't think he leaves. But
Layla was very pretty in that picture.
Yes, she was pretty. All right. The next one up is, we're calling it Manning's Heisman because it wasn't. Jim, in terms of covering sad stories.
It was the heist. It was shocking. People talk about it to this day. I can't believe that he didn't win it. There was all of this has been discussed ad nauseum as to why it happened and how it happened. But it'll rank up there forever as one of the black moments in Tennessee sports history. And you know what? I was looking at some quotes just of that soon after it happened, and again, the enduring quality of Peyton Manning, even in defeat, it wasn't about him. And some could say, well, people are disingenuous when they say things like this, but I sincerely believe him, and did at the time. He was disappointed for the Tennessee fans because he knew what that award not only meant for him, but meant for the school and meant for the fan base here at Tennessee.
Well, that's exactly how I felt about it because I was convinced he was going to win for a number of reasons. And when he did win, because I thought he was truly symbolic of what a college athlete ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
He was a stand-up guy. He was a great athlete. He was a student. I mean, he was all those things.
And he came back for senior year.
And he came back for his senior year, and he doesn't win the Heisman Trophy. From that point forward, I have paid very little. I mean, we pay attention to who wins it, but I have no sense of it being a great award because I thought he was robbed. He was absolutely robbed.
And people forget that one of the things that made everyone think he was going to win it, as much as ESPN tried to get the ratings up for that show, the 1 hour before the Heisman Trophy was a documentary on Peyton Manning. So it was just, they thought. I mean, I worked with Kirk Herbstreit in Columbus. They were surprised how it turned out.
Keith Jackson didn't do Peyton Manning any favors, and I know he was shilling for ABC during that season. But
the Woodson talk.
Yeah.
Well, the sad thing there, and this is the one I always throw out there, that shows how nonsensical the Heisman is. Charles Woodson was this all-everything player. I think it was a year later, maybe 2 years later, Champ Bailey had better stats offensively, defensively, and on special teams, and he didn't finish in the top 5.
No,
It was just a joke. All right, last one, and this one's a sad story to cover, more serious than the other two, obviously, and that is the retirement of Pat Summitt. Jim, you covered her from the heights of those 3 national championships in a row. You had a good relationship with her, and then the way things happened with her illness, just a horrible story to have to cover.
Yeah, and the defining an era, we talked about it with Peyton. I mean, obviously the Summitt era lasted much longer here at Tennessee. So many great memories of covering her and her program and her teams. I think that string of successive championships in the mid-'90s, 96, 97, and 98, I don't know that Tennessee will ever get back to that consistent a level in that because the game has changed.
Yes.
Not because Tennessee's
Right.
changed or not any better. It's just the game has changed. The competitive aspect of that game has changed. And that run with Shamiqua and Tamika, I just went blank on the third. But at any rate, that run led by Shamiqua Holsclaw and Tamika Catchings, Samika Randall.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
We all, yeah.
But I was there for all 3, and I was around and covered one of those 2. We had somebody else cover one of the other ones, the back-to-back in 07 and 08. But there was something special about that 3 straight in the mid-'90s with Pat.
John, your thoughts on the way that era ended?
Just really tough for the fact that you look at somebody, and we talk about how much Bruce Pearl got it. You just look at the hard work that Pat Summitt put into building that program. I mean, even before I was working with Mike Keith and joining the Sports Animal, I'm at B97.5 and we're just getting some sound for our station, and she's sitting next to me answering every question I could come up with the same attention, the same interest that she had for television, for newspapers, you name it. I mean, she would be willing to talk to anybody to just promote her sport, and she built it. I mean, she was a pioneer, and you like for people to have the opportunity to create and walk away, create their own exit, and hers unfortunately was dictated to her. That was something that was totally beyond her control.
And unbelievably cruel. That's a sad story. I will say this about Pat Summitt. I produced the first year there was a Pat Summitt television show. I produced that thing, and it was a taped show, and it wasn't taped at the same time. It was kind of in the same ballpark. But the most amazing, more than anyone else I've ever met in my life, ever worked with, if she said I will be there at 3:41 and 18 seconds, John, she was there at 3:41 and 18 seconds. I mean, she cared about your time as much as she did her own. And for someone at that level to do that, that was very impressive to me as somebody starting out here 150 years ago. When we come back, how has the Tennessee Athletic Department changed in the last 25 years? It's poorer, but how else has it changed? Come on back on the Sports Source.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television.